You are listening to All Burgundy and Gold Everything, powered by the Urban Sports Scene and Fox Sports Radio, 96.9 FM and 1340 AM. Hopewell, Virginia. Your host are Glen, Mo, and me, Wole. The homie Ray Jeezy's out. What's going on, fam?
Hey,
How y'all
man,
doing,
another
man?
another week, and we're closer to the NFL draft. I'm excited.
I know the draft. It's here. It's almost here now. We're almost there.
Hey, no more prognostications. Just answers.
Yeah, we're gonna get some answers. Definitely. The big answer, which is coming up. So we're gonna get that answer. Anyway, hey, subscribe to our podcast on Spotify, iHeartRadio, and Apple Podcasts. Just search All Burgundy and Go Everything. Also, tweet us at ABG_everything. Hit us up on IG at ABG_everything. And like our All Burgundy and Go Everything Facebook page. Make sure you subscribe to our All Burgundy and Go Everything YouTube channel as well. If you're watching this on YouTube, hit the red subscribe button and like this video. All right, it's time for the pregame. Here's what we have on tap. We are going to talk about possible Commanders draft pick, UNC quarterback Drake Maye. Wait a minute, I guess Mo, it's up to you now. This is your time on the spot.
I'm gonna let you go. Go ahead.
Oh my God! Hey, to help us discuss, I got this. To help us discuss, May, let's welcome back host of the Locked On Tar Heels podcast, Isaac Schade. What's up, Isaac? And welcome back to the show, my man.
What is up, fellas? Good to be here. Thanks for having me.
Hey, man. Hey, glad to have you back on, man.
Glad to have you back on,
man. So I feel like I think Mo, myself, I think Glen is a Jay Daniels guy, but I'm a Drake Maye dude. So I'll let that be known. I'm a big Drake.
I'm a Drake Maye guy.
Okay, no. You like Jay Daniels more than Drake, right?
No, I was a Drake Maye.
Hey, my bad. All of us here are all Drake Maye individuals. Then let me correct myself.
All right, I'll see y'all later. Then we're all good here, right?
What I said was Drake Maye is the best for business, but the city will embrace Jaden more than it would.
Yeah, so this is like I'm trying to get these viewers to kind of vibe what we talking about. So I had to get somebody who knows about Drake Maye. So I had to go to my guy Isaac, who schooled me to Sam Howell. You know what I mean? And now he's now this opportunity to school us to Drake Maye. So first off, Isaac, Drake Maye has been rumored to come here. He's one of two, Jaden Daniels and himself. Do you think he would be a good fit here? And if so, why?
Yeah, I absolutely think he'd be a good fit here. You want to know why I think he would be a good fit in Washington? Mm-hmm. Because I think he would be a good fit anywhere. Because that's the kind of like both human that Drake Maye is, and that's the kind of football player he is that he's going to do anything and everything and whatever it is he needs to do to fit whatever system you're looking at. And so if that means you need me to run 80 times a game, cool. I'm going to do that for my team. If that means you need me to throw the ball 50,000 times a game, let's do it. If it means I need to go and play middle linebacker, whatever it is, I'm gonna do it. So that's why I think Drake Maye would be a good fit here. Like, and look, hear me say, no homerism at all. Jaden Daniels, I think, would be a great pick as well. Mm-hmm. But that's where I think the conundrum comes in for the front office here is that I think both these dudes would be really good.
Yeah, I agree. I do. I think they both would be good.
Yeah, on the field, what are some of the things that Drake Maye does well on the field?
Well, there's a lot of things, but for Drake Maye, to me, it starts here. Right? Like we look at the intangibles, we look at the prototypical quarterback stuff. To me, that's all there. And that's why he's at the top of this draft class at some spot. But for me, it starts with the head. He is a smart young man. He thinks the game well. His dad was also a quarterback at North Carolina, by the way. And so it's in his blood. Mm-hmm. He's got an older brother who was a national champion pitcher at Florida. He's got an older brother, Luke, who was a national champion basketball player at Carolina. He's got another brother who walked onto the basketball team at Carolina. So this is an athletic family that he's been thinking and processing this stuff basically his whole life. It's innate in him. So for me on the field, that's where it starts, is just not even just football smarts, but like athletic smarts. Right? Like that to me is even different level than football IQ, is he can do it at the general level. But then that stands out. He makes right decisions. He knows what he needs to do, all of that. But beyond that, Drake is a guy that has made every throw in the book that you want to see from anywhere on the field. He's a guy that, to me, has a really good read of what that pocket presence awareness is. When is it that I need to tuck and run and get out of dodge? Now, that's different because North Carolina's offensive line is a sieve, and so that internal clock is a little different than it would be for whatever NFL franchise he's playing for. But those are just a couple of initial things I would say.
No, I'm with that. I agree. I just feel like, in my opinion, looking at Drake Maye, I don't like, for me, and we'll talk about some of this stuff later on. But like, to your point, you just mentioned, I think that's something that should be really pounded on, is that he played with a bad offensive line. And for him to put up that number, put up those numbers, and to be able to still to make wild special plays, I think that needs to be discussed a little bit more. These other quarterbacks that we all talk about, other than like Caleb Williams, who had a bad offensive line, the other quarterbacks have had ideal pockets to throw from. And I don't think people really are using that in their arguments when they're assessing these quarterbacks. Look, man, I'm a Michigan fan. I'll tell you, and I like McCarthy. I love JJ McCarthy. JJ McCarthy had some ideal situations with that offensive line when he was chosen, when he was able to throw the football. Like, he had time in the pocket when he was able to throw the football. So
he also had an ideal situation too, because he had a running game.
No, but I'm talking about in terms of like.
Well, so does Drake Maye. Let me say, Drake Maye has one of the best running backs in the nation behind him in Omarion Hampton.
Yeah. So I just feel like when you have that, like, LSU has a great offensive line. You know, when you look at these guys, these teams with these other quarterbacks with offensive lines, it's like, all right, how will that translate in the NFL? Because truth be told, if you're picking second, if you're picking early in the draft, chances are your offensive line is garbage. So now you're asking a rookie to go into a situation where he's going to have to be running for his life. And how can he really adjust to that if he's never had that? And I think that Drake Maye can say, I've been in that similar situation where my offensive line wasn't this, and I was able to make plays out of it.
Like, it's almost like a basketball player who learns to play on like a dirt basketball court, like with a crappy rim and a janky net or something like that. And then you walk into the Staples Center. I know it's not called that now, but whatever. You walk into the Staples Center in LA and it's like, oh, I can do anything here because it's the best thing that the world has to offer. That's what he's going to step into.
Yeah, great.
And Isaac, I think that's what I've always thought about Drake Maye. I've been a catalyst for Drake Maye since the end of the season, in terms of when the projections came out. But I just thought that he was always making plays on a team that didn't have that many caliber of NFL players. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think we'll have a handful of North Carolina guys get drafted this year.
No, yeah. I mean, on the offensive side of the ball, probably Tez Walker, his receiver that was notable for all the stuff with the NCAA last year. But the year before that, he had Josh Downs, who made a big splash with the Colts this year. But not really much else. No, I think that's a very fair statement to make.
Okay, so I guess I'll take that into, what do you think the most distinguishing quality about Drake Maye is in comparison to the other quarterbacks?
I cannot overstate to you how good his arm is. He has the strength to make every throw that he'll be asked to do. There's great zip on the ball, but it's not in the Nolan Ryan, like, stop throwing it so hard, bro, kind of way. Like, he's also got good touch and he's got good feel, right? And so I like that, to me, distinguishes that from other guys. But I think another thing, let me go back to some of the intangible tools, because I think this is another one that really, really stands out to me and separates him from other guys. Drake Maye projects this, shucks, good old North Carolina boy, humble and deferential, and he is in healthy ways. I mean, it's literally, you interview him, yes, sir, no, sir, yes, ma'am, to everything, right? But do not mistake that for a lack of confidence or an inability to lead. Because to me, perhaps most importantly, he's got this killer instinct to compete in everything. And it's just one of those guys that he wants to go out and win and win and win. And he's going to bring that. So while he is kind and a great locker room dude, he will not suffer fools. He will not allow his teammates to slack off. He's going to rally everyone and demand more of them.
To your point about his arm strength, one of the first comparisons that I saw that I read about him was that he was somewhere in between Andrew Luck and Justin Herbert. And I said, if he's in between that,
sign me up.
Yeah.
Because the arm talent, like he's made it in the quarterback factory. Talking about 6'4", almost 225. You're talking about 70 yards in the air. You're talking about left hash, right hash, and then the wheels. I think that was the most underestimated part. The wheels.
I know, man.
Right, the wheels that he has. Like you would. He's a prototype quarterback. He's a prototype modern day NFL quarterback.
That's right.
Like I told you guys, he remind me of, as I mentioned earlier, I think last week we was talking, he remind me of Cam Newton, with Cam Newton being that big and he's able to throw and able to run. And then with the Washington having not a great offensive line, if he gets drafted by Washington, he's going to be asked to run. But again, we knew how it was for Cam. When Cam was asked to run, Cam was always picking up those yards, leaning forward, being 6'4", 6'5", and getting that extra yard. And he was a load to take down, along with Ben Roethlisberger at the time as well. So those the type of, like, look at Drake Maye. That's who I kind of compare him to in this modern era.
That's great. And one of the things, because you guys saw it this year with Sam Howell, who was willing to do some of those same things. But to me, Drake has a more prototypical body. And I think that he's got more speed and is more punishing. Like, he's the guy, if I'm running to the goal line and I've got one defender to beat and I could probably beat him to the corner, Drake's like, screw that, I'm going to truck you right now, right? And I know we can't do that at the NFL level. It's
but I love the mentality, though. Go ahead.
Right? Like, I'm with you. Exactly. But here's one, and I think that would lead me to a weakness that I saw in him, particularly his first year as a starter at North Carolina, was that at times he was almost too unselfish with his body and would try to put too much on the line with his body, like Supermaning to the end zone. Yeah. And he's getting knocked down out of the air and like cartwheeled around before he lands. And it's like, buddy, I appreciate you trying to get that extra yard, but at some point I'd rather not have that extra yard and I'd rather have you on the field. That's something he did better with this year, but still to me is an area of growth that any NFL team is going to beat out of him.
I wish folks who are listening to the pod go back to our earlier pod with Isaac, because Isaac, we were talking about Sam Howell, but Isaac would mention Drake. You mentioned Maye, and you were saying like, well, yeah, we like Sam Howell a lot in Carolina, but Drake Maye, this one he's hit. Yeah. This is it. Yeah. He's 10. And I remember you saying that, and and it resonated with me, because at that time I really didn't I didn't know Drake Maye, so then I paid more attention to him. And I went into the following season with like, okay, there's only two quarterbacks that I want. I mean, if Sam Howell doesn't work out, because I did like Sam Howell, he didn't work out. There's only two quarterbacks I would want out of this draft. It would be Caleb Williams or Drake Maye. Those are the two quarterbacks. But in terms of some of his responsibilities at UNC, how can some of that benefit Washington? I
think there's part of it is a culture thing. For example, he and his center went out to brunch once a week and just sat and had brunch at this like iconic Carolina restaurant place and just hung out. And so it's like there's going to be instant rapport building, but it's like in a healthy way. He's not going to come in like in some ways with Caleb Williams. He strikes me as this guy that's going to come in and act like he owns the joint already. And all the veterans are like, all right, homie, hang on. Just know your role, know your place. That's not going to be Drake Maye. He would lead where he is asked to lead, but he would be deferential in healthy ways to guys that he needs to be. And I think he is somebody that has that balance well, and I don't think that a lot of people have that. So that's one thing. In terms of responsibilities at North Carolina, because the offensive line was bad, as we talked about, but what was worse than bad was the atrociousness of Carolina's defense. Yeah, and one of the responsibilities that Drake took on his shoulders in a big way is basically this mindset. If I want to win football games, I got to outscore you, because I love my buddies, but they're not going to stop anybody on the other side of the ball. Yeah. And that was a heavy and weighty responsibility he bore. I think at times late in games or late in the season, as Carolina, each of the past 2 years, this is a knock. Carolina teams have fallen off each of the last 2 years. They've had hot starts under Drake Maye, and then the team hasn't done as well. I think some of that is because he has taken on too much of that responsibility, too much of that weight, and at times has pressed. At times has maybe tried to put a ball into too tight a window in a moment, because he knows we got to make a play here or we're done.
I don't make it, it's not
I'm
happening.
glad you said
Yeah,
that.
so it's
because
similar, which again is similar. That's why I like those two quarterbacks I mentioned, Caleb and Drake, because they dealt with similar situations. Like especially last year's, like SC's defense was bad. Their offensive line wasn't good. And these two quarterbacks, same thing with UNC. These two quarterbacks felt like they had to make every wild play, had to make every play for their team to compete or win football games. So I mean, yeah, that's why I like those two quarterbacks. But go ahead. I think Glenn, you were saying something.
Yeah, what I was saying was that Drake had, when you can talk about pressing, there had been late interceptions for Drake, which cost Carolina in the past season. And if there was a weakness, I would say trying to put it in that window when it was too tight, trying to get the ball to a key receiver when there was somebody else open for the check down, where Drake had opportunity to live another down per se. And he has made that, as you can see, pressing. So that's one of the things. That is a knock. And then, coming to Washington, you have to limit your mistakes. We saw it with Sam Howell. Sam Howell was good for the first couple of weeks, but when the mistakes start rolling, they kept rolling.
Yep.
And I think that's a perfect segue into our next question as to why do you think we're seeing an uptick in naysayers for Drake Maye after he was the consensus number 2 quarterback at the end of the season?
It's a great question, and one that truthfully all like draft prep long I've been trying to figure this out. Because it's like I get that these dudes at the very tip top of things, we're gonna nitpick apart. But it's one of those things to me that, aside from what we're just talking about, some of those late pressing moments, what is this obsession that people have with not just letting the game film speak for itself? And I know it's different, and it's a different level when we get to the NFL. And I hear that, I see it, I get it. But this dude is a freaking winner, y'all. And he's got all the prototypical stuff you talked about. He's got all the head stuff that we're talking about. He knows how to bring a team together. And it befuddles me. Truly, it befuddles me. Now, like, I guess as you start comparing it, guys, like, sure, maybe Caleb Williams has some other things, maybe whatever it is. But to me, I can't get there on anything with that to bring it down to where you pick multiple quarterbacks above him.
No, I'm with you. No, that's my thing. It's like, this is my situation. For Drake Maye, I think it's just like the most simplistic way of looking at it. If Drake Maye went to said team and the other quarter and with that talent and said quarterback went to UNC,
North Carolina, thank you.
Who's gonna have the best numbers?
Thank you.
That's how I look at it. Like, and I'm gonna use only because Caleb is already consensus number 1 pick, right? He's gonna go to Chicago, so I'm gonna use it for the other individuals. If Drake Maye played in LSU, and Jaden Daniels played at UNC,
I love that.
Who would put up numbers?
We seen Jaden Daniels
exactly in Arizona State. Exactly,
Arizona State with not that much talent, even though he played with Brandon Ayuk, Rashad White, who are all NFL starters.
Yeah,
right. We seen him, and it was mediocre.
Yeah,
we seen him his first year at LSU. It was mediocre.
Yeah,
right. I'm looking at Drake Maye. I told somebody the other day, Isaac, like Drake Maye's first year on the field after Sam Howell left. If you put those numbers up in comparison to Jaden Daniels' highs in the season, he's only off by 4 touchdowns. He has more total yards, and the touchdowns, he's only behind him in 4 touchdowns without 2 NFL wide receivers in the same year. With just Josh Downs, a slot receiver for the Indianapolis Colts, that was a 5th rounder. So I think that something is to be told about him excelling that way without the lack of talent, with the lack of talent around him. That speaks for something.
Yeah. And never making one excuse for it.
You've never heard him say one.
Yeah.
Never. He will not denigrate a teammate. He will persevere. He will now maybe internally, sure, that's fine. Yeah. But you publicly defend and you privately rebuke, and he holds to that.
And you look at him this year, Watkins came on game 7?
5, I believe it was.
5, mid-season, right around the mid-season.
But then even then, he played a couple games, got hurt, missed some other time. I mean, it was.
Thank you. I think there's a lot to be said about that. I think there's a lot to be said about it. You're talking about a franchise quarterback, somebody that's going to have to weather storms, especially as a young man in this NFL with the talent that he has. I think that gives it. that bumped him up to me more so than Jaden Daniels prior to the Heisman.
Yeah.
I know after the Heisman, Jaden Daniels has deserved all the press that he's getting because winning the Heisman is a major thing, and Caleb has been the consensus. But all this other riffraff we've been hearing, I think this is the time of year. I think this is why I think that's why prospects now are ducking the combine because it just gives them more negative things to poke at.
That's a good word.
I do. I agree with that. It's just that because I'm like to a Mo's question. I just didn't get the negativity about his game because it's like now you're bringing this up, but he's always been the consensus number 2. It's funny, just like it's the same. I guess I'm using the same 2 quarterbacks. It's the same thing with Caleb. At the end of the year, then at first Caleb was can't miss. Then all of a sudden, it's like, oh, he's something wrong with his game. Same thing with Drake Maye. It's like, okay, he's can't miss. It's just these 2 quarterbacks. All of a sudden, his footwork's a little off. But then I'm like, if you're saying his footwork is off, then you have to really distinguish why is his footwork off. Oh, maybe because his O-line isn't good, so now he can't trust his O-line. Because it's easy when you have a clean pocket to trust your footwork in the pocket. So
with stuff like that, it's like what's fixable and what's not.
Exactly.
You telling me this dude's going to go to the NFL and you can't fix that footwork? You've seen how athletic he is. Come on, what are we doing? You know,
But you guys understand that what it is because you got to go into a draft having some type of storyline. You have to go into drafts having storyline. It can't be okay. Caleb is number 1, Drake Maye number 2, Jaden Daniels number 3, or it can't be Caleb Williams number 1, Jaden Daniels number 2, and Drake Maye number 3. It's going to go that way, right? Because the top 3 teams that are drafting all need quarterback. The only question is which one's going to be number 2 and which one's going to be number 3, and Drake is not going to slip, right? So it becomes that question. That's the question that lies. And so when you got guys who are poking things, when you find people this late in the game poking and try to find things, they're finding things just for clickbait and for stories. To get things moving. They're not finding because if you knew this, you don't find it 2 weeks before the draft. You knew about this in December. You knew about this in January, and you wasn't writing this in December or January or February. You're writing it 2 weeks before the draft. For a guy who had his pro day, which everybody said was excellent and it was good, right? So what does he need a combine for? First, I got a whole different story why some players shouldn't go to the combine anyway, right? I don't think every player should go to the combine. But that's the whole difference because, again, what for? You already see me play. You already have the scout period. You already know what kind of caliber I am. You're not going to ask any other question different from me coming to the combine than you come to visit me in a place where I'm comfortable at, and I don't have to be around everybody else. So if you're a top dog, you're a top dog. Same reason why they don't play in bowl games. So
that's a fair point, Glenn.
Do y'all see a world in which these 3 guys aren't 1, 2, and 3?
It would have to be cut due to a trade.
That's the only way for me. I'm with you. Yeah,
it's only a trade. If somebody's trying to, it would be if someone's definitely trying to, if they're trying to get a particular like a wide receiver, then they would trade up.
Harrison or
Harrison. Yeah, that'd be only.
But nobody's gonna pull that. Nobody's gonna pull that trigger because
I don't think so either. I think New England needs one too bad, and Washington.
Washington need one and New England.
And you know what? It won't even. It would be the top 3. It would just be the top 3. Even if Washington traded back, it would be with somebody who wants a quarterback.
That's right.
It wouldn't be a wide receiver at number 2. It'd be somebody.
Unless somebody's selling the farm and they giving everything.
Listen,
if I'm Washington or New England, unless somebody's giving me the farm, I'm not moving out of these spots.
Mo, what you about to say?
I hope somebody do mess it up, Isaac. I hope somebody go ahead and mess it up. Let somebody go ahead and move up to 3 to go get Marvin Harrison Jr. so the New York Football Giants up there can move up a couple of picks and come go.
You maybe want to be
behind Danny. So you can sit behind Danny DeVito and Daniel Jones.
And we ain't sitting behind nothing.
Chances are the Giants may trade up. To be honest with you,
but if they do, like you guys said, if the Giants come into this top 3, they're taking one of those
quarterback. Yeah, everybody's. I think to your like. It's quarterback is a guarantee. These 3 are going 1, 2, 3. One way or the other, they're going 1, 2, 3.
Yeah. Somebody's going to think too hard about this and blow it. Somebody's going to think too hard about this and blow it.
The only thing that's going to happen is somebody's going to. The only thing I would say is somebody's going to trade with another partner, but that partner is going to be a quarterback. They're going to draft they're drafting a quarterback.
Or
I wouldn't be surprised. Well, you know what? I could see. I mean, Nah, JJ wouldn't. I don't think JJ's. I could
No,
see it,
no,
but I don't
no.
think JJ.
That's what's gonna. The Patriots are gonna
JJ.
screw this up and take JJ instead of Jaden at 3.
I think I can no. I mean, as a JJ supporter, I can see.
I think it's the
I
Commanders.
don't know what I'm
I
gonna
think
say.
the
This
Commanders are going to be the first one to mess this up. The Commanders. Are
no, Adam Peters, no.
The Commanders are going to take Jaden Daniels.
If this was under the old regime, I would say yes.
The Commanders are going to take Jaden Daniels.
Oh no, Mo believes that Jaden Daniels a mess up. That's what you're saying,
I'm talking about messing up the order. I think that the Commanders.
Oh, we're gonna mess it up. We're gonna choose Jaden. I think we're taking. All right.
I think the Commanders are gonna take.
I think we're taking Jaden Daniels. I think we're taking Jaden Daniels. I don't want to take Jaden Daniels. I want May, but I think we're taking Jaden Daniels.
I think the Commanders are taking Jaden Daniels.
Yeah, I think we are. I agree. I agree with that. I think
Okay,
they are.
Here's a different question than does anybody other than these 3 go top 3? Is it a likely scenario? Like what odds would you put on JJ hopping into the top 3 and either Drake or Jaden getting bumped out of it?
Absolutely not.
I don't think it's gonna happen.
Absolutely, because I think it took too much for JJ to get the momentum that he got in the first place.
That's a good word. Good word.
They had to see the arm talent at the pro day.
And it was good
because out of the 4, he's the most game manager-ish.
Yeah.
Right. So I don't think that'll get him to leapfrog anybody because the talent of the top 3 is just so eye-popping. Right.
That's JJ's former coach hyping him up.
Yeah. I mean,
no. I'm gonna tell y'all this too. Let me clear this up. You gotta know, you gotta know Jim to know how he hype you up. Jim ain't gonna hype you if you ain't him. Like Jim gonna hype you if he thinks you're good, he's going to go over the top.
And Glen,
like he did it with Andrew Luck.
But here's the go though. If JJ's him,
yeah,
right. If JJ's him,
yeah. Did you see
Arizona ain't selected him?
I'm gonna tell you why.
His old coach ain't picking him.
No. Let me tell you why.
Glenn.
Blake Corum. Look at Blake Corum. Blake Corum's good. How hard is JJ? How hard? And Blake Corum loves Jim Harbaugh. How hard is Harbaugh boosted up Blake Corum? How hard? How hard has he? Not that hard. So I'm just telling you, he knows. He'll let you know if you that person.
The thing about
we did a show on this, and we all know that JJ is just thrown into the conversation to be thrown into the conversation. That he's not going to be one of the top.
I don't believe that.
He's not going to be one of these top 3 picks.
He's not going to be a top 3 pick, but I think he's going to be drafted higher than a lot of people projected because I think Harbaugh is arrogant enough to feel that it's him that produced the product and the way he wanted his team ran. That's why JJ was more so in a game manager type position because he wanted to run the football. Harbaugh is hard pressed on that. That's dating back to the Andrew Luck days. Andrew Luck had Toby Gerhart. He had Stephon Taylor. Toby Gerhart was a consensus All-American.
He ran the ball like crazy.
He ran the ball like crazy. Stephon Taylor had 3 good years after Toby Gerhart left. This is what he did in the NFL with Frank Gore also. This is what he did. He drafted Kaepernick. Yeah. He drafted Kaepernick in the same draft as Cam Newton. He went and got Greg Roman because he wanted a run-first offense. You know, the same run-first offense that we've seen in Baltimore for the last couple of years. Like, this is his identity. Like, he doesn't care what kind of talent you have. We're going to run the football. We're going to run a pro-style offense, and then you're going to make timely throws, and we're going to live to fight another day.
This is true. I will say this, though, to your question, Isaac. I think he won't get the top 3. He won't be in the top 3.
No.
But I can see a situation where, like, I think Washington really does. They really do like JJ. I don't think I'm not saying they like JJ more than the other individuals, but they like JJ.
JJ or Jaden?
They like JJ. Not more than everybody. I'm not saying more than. I said I can see. So if someone, put it this way, if someone gave Washington an offer where they can drop out of second pick overall, and they knew they could JJ, they would be okay with it.
That's the same regime that drafted Brock Purdy. So you got to understand. I think they would be okay. Quarterback's a lot different.
Yeah, that I will say. Like, if
we
the
can't
pick
use the Brock Purdy situation because look at the talent he has over there, and look at the line he has too. That's totally different situation. Because when they drafted Brock Purdy, he wasn't drafted. Come on, he was Mr. Irrelevant, right? They had a love over it. He wasn't drafted to be a starter. He lucked into being a starter, and they found out he was good.
He's
So
in
let's
let
not
me say this.
act like he was drafted high.
Let me say this.
He was the last guy picked in the draft.
Yeah, let me add this though. To that. Like to say this.
We're just talking about the attributes and the intangibles. We're talking about the intangibles.
And I will say this though. He's coming the same. We're going to give Peters talk about Peters. He's coming from a scene where quarterback isn't as centric as you think it is.
That's true.
Look at it's not as centric as you think it is in San Francisco. So if we want to be in terms of what you may deem valuable, they may look at something totally different. Just saying.
Because
we're going to use that example.
They jumped out there with Trey Lance and lost that bid.
But hey, Isaac, I know you're on a tight schedule. I don't want to keep you here forever, man.
Great.
You're my guy. So Isaac, before we let you go, my man, how can folks catch Locked On Tar Heels, the podcast, and also how can they catch you on social media?
For sure. Locked On Tar Heels on YouTube and every audio platform. You can find us every day, all off season long. For those of you that love college basketball, I also co-host Locked On College Basketball. We're every day as well. Big time stuff, man. It's so fun. Kentucky has been great to us with numbers and content. Thank you to John Calipari for his wackiness. I'm most active social media wise on Twitter. I refuse to call it that other thing. So you can follow me there on Twitter. And best of luck to whomever goes and gets Drake Maye, because go look at that. Just go to YouTube, folks. Search Drake Maye left-handed touchdown pass. You'll see everything you need to see.
I love it. All right, well, Isaac, thanks for being on, man. Appreciate you, my man.
Pleasure being on, guys. Good luck in the draft. Hope stuff goes well for Errrything, Burgundy, and Gold. Let's go.
I love it, man. Appreciate you. All right, Isaac. All right, man. That's Isaac.
Real quick, back to the point, real quick. I know we got to get ready to get out of here, but to the point. J.J. McCarthy, right? And we talked about this on the show when we talked about J.J. McCarthy. And we talked about being smoke and mirrors. If you look at the teams, right? Mo, and you're a Giants fan, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right? You're a Giants fan. If McCarthy doesn't get picked, are the Giants selecting him?
Probably so.
I do not think so. I just don't think the Giants can make the mistake. I think the Giants cannot make the Daniel Jones mistake twice. That's the only reason I don't think J.J. McCarthy's the pick.
I think he would be there. I ain't gonna lie to you. So let me say this. I think the Giants would pick him. My opinion. I think they would pick him. I think only reason I'm saying that because I think he's a totally different quarterback than Daniel Jones. I know what you're saying. I think in terms of where he has, in terms of like the competition, who we had to play against, they're a little different in terms of being balanced.
In terms of the competition, for sure.
That's what I'm talking about. I know skill set. Yes, I know you're talking about. I'm not going to trash his Daniel. I think Daniel Jones does have some certain skills that I could see why he was drafted where he was drafted. So I'm not knocking Daniel Jones. I'm just talking about the competition of how he played in the moment. They're a little different, and they're a little different in that aspect. And I think that would tailor more to what's your coach's name? Your coach's name? Dayball. Excuse me. It would tailor more to his way of thinking and his way of doing things than
I think Dayball, like, there's a reason the Giants are hell bent on Daniel Jones. Like, the ownership has been hell bent on Daniel Jones since before Dayball came. Dayball and them came, and they see Josh Allen-like qualities about Daniel Jones. He just hasn't figured it out for whatever reasons. Like, that's why they're so stuck on this kid. Like, I don't see them going to go get a quarterback that is that has some questions around him. Right.
Yeah, I know. That's fair. Right? That's fair.
That right there, I don't think they can afford that.
Let me put it this way. It just depends on how they feel about him. Let me keep this a buck. It just depends on. We can make all the assumptions. Like I could tell you, like just from the reports. Like I know I could get a good gist of Washington likes JJ. They didn't say they like him more than the other quarterbacks. They like him. I can't tell you if the Giants like JJ. I haven't heard the reports
the reports have been,
you know what I mean. So that's what I'm saying.
The reports really came around the time after the pro day because
everybody loved him after the pro day,
right?
Because everybody liked him after the pro day.
The thing, like I think that if the top three go, and nobody moves up into whatever, like JJ sweepstakes starts at 11, 12, and 13.
I agree.
Because that's Minnie, that's
who wants
Denver, and Oakland.
Minnie wants him.
But Minnie has 2 number 1 picks.
Minnie wants him,
2 first rounders.
Minnie wants him. Yeah.
You said 11. I disagree. I think it starts at 10.
Who's at 10?
It starts at the Broncos.
The Jets. It starts with the Jets.
No, Jets ain't gonna get him.
No.
No, they ain't gonna get him.
Well, how much time did Aaron Rodgers have? Let's be honest.
Nah, not with that. Not with this pick.
They will do it. They will take a second round quarterback, put him behind Aaron Rodgers, and all of that. Like if Michael Penix is sitting there,
they do it. They wait on the Penix.
That's my thing with Minnesota.
Or even dude, what's the old boy for South Carolina?
What's his name?
Rattler.
Spencer
Rattler.
They wait. There's guys to be drafted later on.
But other point that the Wole brought up, but we didn't going to get to. He talked about San Francisco, Adam Peters. Yo, Kyle Shanahan offense is going to be totally different from Kip Kingsbury. And so when you talk about
that's fair. I'm just saying that's fair. I'm just telling you we're going to be fair about track record of organizations where somebody comes from. Like they're not quarterback centric. Like they believe in building they believe in building around. They believe in building the whole team before that's their whole thing. So it's like
JJ was fitting that because that game manager.
Yeah, that's all I'm saying.
They're not expecting him to do everything. I'm not saying JJ is the pick. What I'm saying is if that organization, the people from that regime have a certain way that they think of their quarterback.
Yeah.
But you got a different coach. So it's not how much of that was Kyle Shanahan, how much of that was Adam Peters. Because as a head coach, the quarterback has to fit into my system, not the owner's system. The quarterback has to fit into me.
But the GM is all right, this is the thing. The GM
the
GM picks the pieces. That's what it is. It's always been like they pick the
way. Shanahan has a big hand in that in San Francisco.
Yeah, he has a big hand.
He wanted Trey Lance until
that bomb. He did. He wanted Trey Lance. He's the one that wanted Trey Lance. He's the one that wanted Trey Lance.
And if Trey Lance had stayed healthy, and Brock wouldn't have had if Trey Lance would have stayed.
I like Trey Lance, bro. I like
if Trey Lance would have stayed healthy and Brock had balled out of his mind with the talent. We talk about talent that he has around him. Brock just has to get the ball.
Let me say this then. That's not even Trey Lance. They're not using that.
He's doing it at an all-time San Francisco 49.
But let's not even use that. No what? I mean, let me even go one step further.
It's not even normal the way he's doing it.
Even go one step further. All right, just one step further. They kept Jimmy G. They got Jimmy G. Is Jimmy G all world?
Jimmy G took him to the Super Bowl.
No, was he all world though? He's not franchise. He's not a franchise.
He's not all world.
So I'm just saying.
But Jimmy G was at the point though. At that time, everybody was high on Jimmy G.
Jimmy was never franchised though. Jimmy was never franchised.
Everybody was high. Everybody was high. People in the league was high on Jimmy G.
Jimmy was never looked at as a franchise. The Kyle,
Jimmy
like
G won
Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick
playoff game, throwing the ball 8 times. Glenn.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, bro. That's all I'm saying is 8 times.
It was a running game.
All I'm saying is that that organization has shown you that they're not. It doesn't mean Glenn, you could be correct. I'm not saying you're not correct. That it could be totally different with Cliff Kingsbury. I'm just saying we're going to be fair and look at the body of work of Adam Peters, how he builds a team, because it's his job to build the team. That's what we brought. That's what he paid him to do. Then we can also look at what he did in San Francisco and say, all right, this is what he values more. So my thing is that what he's look at it like, because he said I like draft picks. He even came out and said that I'm big on draft picks, not free agents. Draft picks. So could he say in this situation? Not this again. If he stays at 2, I expect him to get Drake Maye or Jaden Daniels.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Definitely believe that. But can he say, okay, they're going to give me what I can get how many picks for this?
If somebody goes crazy over
that's
the
what I'm
draft
saying.
picks,
You don't think with his track record for what he are and what he said already?
I said that. Yeah, I said that earlier. If somebody's giving him the house, he's going to take the house.
But what's the house? Like the question is, what's the house though? Like that's the thing. What is the
question?
It depends how far back you come from.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what I'm saying.
How far back you come from.
If you tell him, this is my thing. If he likes JJ, right? If he likes JJ, don't how much. If he likes JJ, and he knows he can swap
the Broncos.
Yeah, exactly. I can get the Broncos.
And Sean Payton finally comes to get that quarterback that he wants.
Exactly.
He moves back
and I can get and you're giving me 2 first rounds.
And I can still get JJ at 12.
And I can still get JJ. Shoot.
He'll do it in a heartbeat.
He'll do
it in a heartbeat. But again, that's the gamble he's taking. You got to guarantee. But again, that's JJ to me is the guy who interviews well. That's why everybody likes him.
Who, JJ?
But there's people, and I'm not saying he's a bad quarterback. What I'm saying is he interviews well. Everybody likes him, but there are guys ahead of you that's better than the job. And if those guys wasn't in this draft, let's be honest. If Caleb wasn't in this draft, if Drake Maye wasn't in this draft, Jaden Daniels in this draft, JJ McCarthy probably be your number 1 pick.
Like I said,
I have more questions about Jaden Daniels. than I have about any other quarterback.
Me too.
I have more questions about Jaden Daniels than I have of any of those four.
I'm gonna say it again.
What JJ is.
Yeah, there you go.
I know what JJ is, regardless if I think he's more talented or not.
Yes,
I know what JJ is.
You know what faculty is for a fact. You know what
I know what Caleb has shown me for 3 years.
I know what Drake Maye is because I've seen.
I've seen Drake Maye. I've seen Drake Maye.
Consistent body of work.
Yeah. Consistency.
And it's just the same thing I said earlier. It's the same thing. Like what Mo's saying, I totally agree with you. Like if I take Jaden Daniels out of LSU and put him on any of those other teams, do I get the same production? Do you get the same production? I know I have a good feeling. I feel good to say if I take Drake Maye and put him in that system, with that skill set, that offensive line,
he's gone.
I feel like
he's the Heisman. He wins the Heisman.
Yeah, he may not be running for 1,100 yards, but I think to your point, he's still a Heisman.
He threw for 4,000 yards with one NFL receiver.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Like so even that. So again, it's the same argument I use with even JJ. If I put JJ, I'm not saying that I know JJ's gonna be that good or not, but the question is like JJ played in Michigan with what other than the running game? But you could say LSU, you got everything. Though. You have all the skill set in your repertoire on that team. You got O-line, 2 number 1 wide receivers. Like
good running game behind them.
You take Jaden Daniels, put him on Michigan. Do they win a national title this year?
I don't know.
If I take who?
Jaden Daniels.
You take Jaden Daniels, put him in Michigan. Michigan win a national title.
I don't know.
I don't know.
If you take Drake Maye, put him on Michigan. Do they win a national title?
I think so. It's similar body of work.
I think so because the arm talent is going to be there to make. It's going to
be similar. You just use Andrew Luck. Yeah, like you said about Andrew Luck, it's very comparable. Like he'll run the football. Jim will still run the football. I don't know. It's wild. Like I don't know.
And Jim will let him throw that thing. Jim will let him throw it a little bit more than he let Davis throw it.
Yeah, he would a little bit more. But it'd be similar to Andrew Luck. It'd be very similar to Andrew Luck. And
Andrew
I would say
big time plays with that running game behind.
Yeah. And I will say this though. I've got Jaden Daniels. I don't know what I'm not going to shortchange Jaden Daniels. I just don't know. He could probably win in Michigan. He probably could. I won't even shortchange him. But I will say this though. It's a different offense though. Because I don't think Jim, that offense is really awesome. It's not good enough. It's not great with that type of quarter. With what Jaden does. I'm not sure. I'm just not sure. Like how he would play against Ohio State. He can beat all the other teams definitely. Like I don't know if
Jaden Daniels could sit in the pocket
and
deliver the football all game.
Yeah.
Without like having to get out, break the pocket.
Yeah, exactly. Break containment. I don't know. I don't know
about that. I don't know about him traditionally just dropping back and letting it go.
And we don't have those weapons. Like we don't have those weapons on the outside that he's accustomed of having.
Who's the kid? Number one? Number one is the
Roman Wilson. Yeah, Roman Wilson's the best.
He's the best receiver on Michigan. He couldn't light a candle to Malik Neighbors.
Yeah, at all. Or even Thomas, to be honest with you. So I'm just saying, it's gonna be interesting though. We got next Thursday, baby. I'm excited. Yeah,
I'm excited. Next Thursday.
But either way, man, it don't matter. It's no knock on anybody. I know folks want to say that when they hear this, they're gonna be like, "Dang, you down on Jaden Daniels?" I'm not really down on Jaden Daniels, to be honest with you. I don't really care who they. I mean, if they get Jaden Daniels, I'll root for Jaden Daniels. I'm gonna be real with y'all. I think Jaden Daniels is he's got RG3 in him. If that makes any sense. I think he's got a lot of and that's a good thing. 2012 RG3. That's a good thing.
Good RG3.
It's a good thing. But I'm gonna say this again. That's gonna be predicated on Kingsbury.
And if we look at Kingsbury's history, I seen him with Kyler Murray.
Yeah.
This one read offense, this move in the pocket situation. I got questions about Kingsbury, but I'll tell you, me
too. I got questions about him too, bro. It's
a lot.
I think there's enough pieces. I think there's enough veteran coaches around Kingsbury that they're going to veto some of his stuff when it's not. Remember, he's coaching with other head coaches,
which is interesting. Which is another interesting thing. That's an interesting thing too.
But Glen, it's hard to veto something within a 40-second play clock.
Yeah, and I will
not veto, but again, I'm not. You don't veto in a game. What you do is you veto on your Wednesday, Thursday practices.
Oh yeah, I'm talking about.
There's some things that does not work. That Anthony Lynn said, you know what? Let's not run this with the running backs. Your receiver coach said, you know what? This is not a good concept here and there. So it takes place in the meetings where he may have something in his head. Say, you know what? I want to try this. it doesn't work, we scrap it.
Let's see.
Because
No, I
it may
agree.
not-
We'll find out.
No, I agree. We would definitely find out. I will, before we end the show, I will say this. I am very interested to see how that still works though, with all the cooks in the kitchen. Like I'm still like Glenn, you're right. Like he can veto it, but that's still, when there's so many talking heads, we've heard, that also could be
That could be a problem too.
That could also
It could be a problem. So they got to gel together and see all these head coaches together.
They got some
And
good
also,
minds in the building.
With a defensive minded head coach.
Yeah, they got some good minds in the building. Don't get it twisted, but that's a lot to really. That could be a lot.
I don't think Quinn brought him on the staff to veto his
his selection.
His way.
I don't think so.
I think that he's a defensive minded coach, and he wanted somebody that can coach offense at a high pace, and that's what he got.
Yeah.
So that's what the plan is.
Yeah, he wants a young, forward-thinking offensive coordinator. That's what he wanted. I think we can see that.
And remember, the last time he was the head coach, he had Kyle.
Exactly. That's what he wants. He wants something similar to that. And also I think the reason why you see the guy from Philadelphia and you see Lynn is I think that is basically saying, hey, I know you like to throw the ball, but we're gonna run the ball too. So it's kind of like it's kind of trying to even him out.
We got Brian Johnson, but we know how that worked out. We know how that worked out with Shanahan because they
legitimately should have ran the football.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? But anyway, man, this has been a dope show. Hey, make sure, folks, y'all subscribe to our podcast on Spotify, iHeartRadio, and Apple Podcasts. Just search All Burgundy and go Errrything. Also, tweet us at ABG_Errrything. Hit us up on IG at ABG_Errrything. And like our All Burgundy and Go Errrything Facebook page. My bad. Also like our All Burgundy and Go Errrything TikTok. TikTok situation. We got TikTok now, so we doing a darn thing. Make sure you subscribe to our All Burgundy and Go Errrything YouTube channel as well. If you watch this on YouTube, click the red subscribe button, like this video. Anyway, this has been a great show. Appreciate Isaac for being on, man. Always appreciate the fellas. Anyway, you've been listening to All Burgundy and Go Errrything, powered by the Urban Sports Scene, the Fox Sports Radio, 96.9 FM and 1340 AM. Hopewell, Virginia, for ages. You dig? Deuces. We out.